How common is it for a man to have no interest in sports at all? My interest has gotten less and less over the years. I used to watch and attend all the major teams' games, but now I'm a casual fan at best. Football is the only one I watch at all, but I've really stopped caring if my team wins. I've slowly started to realize that being emotionally invested in a team or sport that you have no control over is kind of pointless and a huge waste of time and energy. I used to need to be in front of the TV for every football game. And now if I happen to be home, it'll have it on in the background, but I'd much rather go hunting or fishing. I enjoy playing sports growing up, but my interest in watching, discussing, or caring about sports is simply zero. They occupy no part of my mind except when I'm stuck in a conversation with someone that seems hung up on them being the only possible topic. I do like carpentry, the outdoors, biology, reading, art, home improvement, video games, animals, pets, etc., etc. But I cannot fathom caring what some random people I don't know do with a ball or whatever. But more power to anyone who does enjoy them. Makes as much sense as anything else. I guess it depends on how we define sport. If it just means mainstream field court games like football and basketball, plenty of men don't care. If we include esports, Olympics, and other competitive games played for spectators, I would be surprised if there wasn't a single event that was at least intriguing to a man. But that would probably apply to just about any human at that point. As for actively following a sport, yeah, no, that's like a hobby in itself. And there are a lot of other hobbies competing for men's time. I don't think it's uncommon at all. But what I do find is that it's usually very polarizing. A lot of people are either all in or all out, and both sides can be really obnoxious. Honestly, I just do my own thing and find other ways to relate to guys. If they can't hold a conversation without bringing up the game last night, then you aren't going to enjoy their company regardless. But at the same time, don't get obnoxious about sports, or you'll alienate yourself from people with otherwise enjoyable interests. Societal norms often associate masculinity with an interest in sports, but this stereotype overlooks the diverse range of interests and identities within the male population. Some men may feel pressured to conform to these expectations, while others confidently pursue their own passions. Whether it's art, science, literature, or something else entirely. Not being interested in sports doesn't diminish one's masculinity or worth. It's simply a reflection of individuality and the richness of human experience. From my very anecdotal experience, not that uncommon, I have 3 brothers. None of us have ever had any interest in sports, and we are now all over 45. One brother briefly wrestled in HS, but that was it. We don't follow sports and don't talk sports and don't play sports. I'm gay, so that might be an explanation, lol. But they aren't. Ironic too, because my mother was a football fanatic growing up. Maybe a reaction. ETA, that said, we are all quite physically active. Backpacking, sailing, etc. I have no interest in following sports. I work out regularly and practice martial arts, but I can't simply spend my weekends and weekday nights sitting in front of the TV and watch hours of games, learning about the teams, players, stats, etc. I'd rather be doing something else. I do like going to the stadiums and watch major events like the Olympics, Super Bowl, and World Cup, but I think it is more about being with friends and family. But not something I enjoy doing by myself. In older generations it was very rare. In recent decades, however, it is becoming more and more common. I'd say it's still uncommon to have no interest at all, since most people still have an interest in it in one form or another. As far as entertainment goes, there was a time when sports were the most accessible source of it for men. Nowadays we have many more interesting alternatives. As far as an actual activity, we spend more and more time inside, so that is less common as well. I'm a man who basically has zero interaction with sports. They're in a big sports town, Boston, but I'm a therapist who works mostly with women colleagues, So honesty, even when our teams have won titles, nobody at work or in my social circles ever talks about it. I couldn't even tell you a single player or coach on any Boston teams right now. I grew up playing sports though, and I know all the rules and strategies. Just never had any interest in following professional sports. Me, im from LA, 52 years old. Can't stand sports. Chicks used to think I was gay 'cause of it. I box, I ski, I ran. I played in a band. I never back down when someone is aggressive with me. In not a sissy ... Just don't like sports. It's the lowest, dumbest, most classic way for a government to control its idiot citizens. Make them feel like they are poor losers. And in LA it's just a class system, show off has courtside seats, etc. It's so dumb. So about 2 generations ago, there really wasn't much to talk about if you weren't into drugs, politics, or lived in the same town as another person. There were only a handful of stations on television, and movies were a special event. Have video games, streaming services, lots of food options, and events that are advertised on the internet. So you could be across the world or the next town over and know about stuff happening nearby. At tabs on the Green Bay Packers or Pittsburgh Steelers, only because growing up they were my favorite teams who happen to have a rich history nerd when they play against the Minnesota Vikings. Also once, and a great I'll see how lefty I'm a lefty or Phil Mickelson is doing in golf. Other than that, no interest in sports. I don't take time away from my overall day to watch, just a quick search and done. None from me since my late teens. I used to watch baseball when I was a kid. I knew every player, their position and their team. I have thousands of baseball cards. I can't stand basketball, won't watch football, can't stand college games. Absolutely hate golf. I was once a star bowler. I don't even have a desire to bowl anymore. I'd rather work on my cars, yard, house and build things out of wood and metal. It wasn't until like 2 years ago that I got into sports. 29. I had no interest before then. Only thing that got me to start watching was fond memories of doing stuff with my dad, who passed in 2014, and being excited at the thought of doing the same stuff with my nephew's brother one day. Still a ways off since they're 2 and not born yet. I get excited at the thought of going to baseball or football games with them. I like to shoot hoops solo. No desire for those not so subtle machismo moments where people flex and reveal how insecure they are. I see them enough when I buy groceries. Why the frick would I want to join that dance? I have nothing to prove. Early childhood sports help cement my perspective. White people can be so insecure. Tongue-in-cheek. Take it personally at the risk of your own mental emotional health. I think it's pretty uncommon. It's the basis for lots of social gatherings, and it's a great talking point for lots of people if there's a local team involved. I really like football, basketball and wrestling, but I keep tabs on MMA and baseball just to have things to talk to about when I'm out or as an icebreaker. But I have a few friends who don't follow any sports, and that's awesome. They have other interests. As a man who has no interest in sports, I consider myself the minority. To put that into perspective, I had a lady friend who was very passionate about hockey. Even when I tried to show an interest, she knew I really wasn't. Sports are so dull and boring, and I really don't see the point. People getting mad because their team loses, cry me a river. Grow the FCK up. I will die on this hill, sue me please. Pretty common. I used to follow NFL pretty hard for about 20 years. Once people stopped standing up for the national anthem, I realized my values, and those in charge of the NFL no longer aligned. I respect the players' right to kneel for whatever cause they feel they need to support, but also assert my right to not engage in that stuff. So I moved on. Now I don't watch sports. I don't have much interest in sports at all. I used to like hockey, until my team lost the only player that made them relevant. And the only reason I even liked hockey in the first place was because of how fast-paced it was compared to other sports. That even their interest died out eventually too. Is it bad that I'd only be interested in sports if they had violence at this point? According to recent public opinion polling, the majority 52 of American men follow sports either not too closely or not at all. Org Shortread 2023 1017 Most Americans don't closely follow professional or college sports. Org Shortread 2023 1017 Most Americans don't closely follow professional or college sports. This may sound kind of shitty. I judge a person's intelligence by their interest in sports. When I hear someone say we when talking about their favorite team or discuss sports strategy like it's the opening of the second front, I assume they're a dipshit. Unfortunately, it's usually someone at work who outranks me and has a much bigger salary, so maybe I'm the idiot. Honestly, my interest in sports was exercise and hanging out with buddies. Video games I play to relax and be social. I cannot stand watching other people do things I could just do myself. I would watch extreme sports or funny fear factor type shows. I would watch comedic personalities play games. There isn't any entertainment past throwing a ball. I lose interest. Extremely common. I hate sports, they're boring. There's family being really into college football for some reason. It's really just isolated incidents of having to deal with people that like sports to the point of it being their main personality trait.